Welcome back to Retro Rebound, everybody. In today's video, I got the Tmnt wristband on. I haven't worn this thing since high school. I found it in my drawer. I was like, it is a good omen because today we are talking about the Ninja Turtles. Okay, little backstory on me. I'm a bit of a TMNT freakazoid. I read the comics. I have the Turtles in Time pixel art up on my walls here. I have the Turtles in Time arcade booth here. I literally grew up on the 2003 series. I love these games, fret not. When the TMNT collection from Konami comes out, we'll remember these games. I love this rendition of the Turtles, by the way. The art style, how dark the story got. Oh my god, I could go on. I love the Ninja Turtles. And if you've been a Ninja Turtle fan for a while, you know we've been down horrendously bad. Rise of TMNT had one of the coolest fight scenes, but otherwise wasn't a fan. TMNT in 2012, a little too lighthearted for me. I think a lot of people forget how dark the Ninja Turtles universe is. And for the video game side of thing, it has been probably a decade or so since we've gotten a really good TMNT game. And finally, someone has not only delivered a good TMNT game, but actual pixel art, side-scrolling, beat-em-up greatness. And we're going to talk about TMNT Shredder's Revenge in today's video. Y'all know the Retro Rebound rule. I like to do 2 videos a week. Let videos percolate, build up. I know y'all are busy, so I don't want to pound your sub boxes, but I had to make an exception because we're going to be having a 3rd video this weekend. I know some of you won't complain, but the algorithm might. But I had to talk about this game this week, and there is no better fitting game for Retro Rebound than TMNT Shredder's Revenge. So, welcome one, welcome all to a review of TMNT Shredder's Revenge. If you're new here, you're into nostalgic content or the occasional modern review, it seems, consider subscribing. We have a lot of reviews on the way for Fire Emblem 3 Hopes, as well as Sonic Origins. Okay, right when I got to the character select menu, I mean, opening the game, immediately seeing the title menu, I'm like, oh yeah, this has an energy to it. This has an energy to it. But going to the character select screen was when I was confirmed, like, this is gonna be incredible. So Raphael is my turtle. We all have our turtles, right? Raph is the one I look to. I'm like, that's my guy. So of course I select him. They already confirmed they had the old voice actors come back for their roles here. So right off the bat, like, I'm looking at this like a Turtles in Time sequel, which it really pretty much is, a spiritual successor in many ways, but it takes so many homages from Turtles in Time. That's how I'm looking at it. So just hearing voices alone, I'm like, oh my god, like, it's not just in Turtles in Time here, like, hey-ya, hey-ya, oh, shell shock, that type of stuff. Like, just the one-liners, like, there's so much personality to this game. So like I said, I'm in the character select menu, and I pick Raphael. And my man goes, what now, our fearless leader? And I'm like,
so what now, fearless leader?
I thought only I loved that line. So for those who haven't watched the movie from the 90s, the original TMNT movie, one of my favorite movies of all time. Yeah, I get it. It's not the cinematic masterpiece. As a Turtles fan, that movie gets it. I love it so much. It's emotional. It's got good action in it. Great story. I love that movie. And there's a part where Leonardo and Raphael are arguing, and he brings up the fact that Leo is their fearless leader, and he says it sarcastically because Raph is a loose cannon. And I'm like, oh my god, they put that in the game. What else am I in for? I haven't even started it yet, right? So that was immediately like the buy-in moment for me. I was like, I was so excited for this. I was really depressed that I couldn't start the game at midnight. I kept checking up until 3 a.m. to see if the game would unlock overnight. It didn't. So the real question for me going into Turtles in Time, I did call it Turtles in Time. Oh my god, like, that's the similarities in some ways. Going into Shredder's Revenge, I was wondering to myself, what is this game going to do better than Turtles in Time? You know, how do you evolve a side-scroller beat-em-up? And what they've done here is I think they've simplified the controls in a way that's easy to understand. There's a little tutorial that the game starts up with when you pick any of the modes if it's a new game. And there's just 20 moves you can do. One of the things they added to give mobility to the game are these wake-up rolls and dodge rolls. So you can spring from one end of the screen to the other with particular attacks. There's 2 different types of jump attacks. One's like a diving attack. One's if you hit the jump button twice, you can kind of swipe in the air multiple times. Good for floating enemies. And what happens is you have this very simplistic combat system, but enemy encounters that encourage all these different moves. So I'm rolling, jumping, double jumping, slice, 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 doing some grab moves. Then when you grab them, you can, as always, throw them at the screen. You can slam them back and forth. You can do like a suplex I did and hit everyone behind you. I just felt like there was a layer of strategy here, and that the way the enemy encounters worked felt more balanced than Turtles in Time. Just a little backstory here for me on Turtles in Time. This is a game that I grew up on, man. Outside of these games here, I grew up on Turtles in Time. Yeah, I'd always go to my friend's house after school up until 5, then I had to go home, do homework. But we would try to beat Turtles in Time. Every single time we would fail, but it would be 3 of us just gathered around the TV. So you can, of course, get through the game and not be feeling terrible about yourself because you're like, I died like 80 times throughout that, no exaggeration. But you can crank it up to the highest difficulty, which I did on the arcade mode, which we'll talk about now. Arcade mode is limited continues, right? Like once you die, you go to the beginning of the stage. You only got 3 continues. Very old school. Putting it on the highest difficulty, going in there. And when you go in there, you got challenges for every level. And these challenges are like, you know, using specific grab moves. Don't get hit by obstacles in the level. Don't get grabbed a certain amount of times. Kill enemies with this, or that. And it just adds a layer to the gameplay for a $25 title that I kind of think could have been fine on its own. But there's just so much personality in this game. The amount of pixel art packed into this game. I just stopped in some stages and just looked. Because every building, every billboard, every single pixel of this game is something new and a complete treat, down to the collectibles. And I don't want to spoil anything for you all, so I'm only showing you the first 5 of what is 16-ish stages that you can see in this game. But it is, as a Turtles fan, such a treat. And more than anything, as a old school TMNT fan, you know, I don't know if we'll ever get these days back where the Ninja Turtles will go to something a little more gritty. God willing. But now we have a game that finally I can point to and be like, this is why we love them. This is why. This game here, it was like the origin of people gathering around and loving the Turtles, I think. And it's just an iconic beat 'em up that has now been evolved. And I view like Shredder's Revenge to be this iconic beat 'em up that we'll talk about for generations, that kids growing up will reference it like I do with Turtles in Time and be like, remember Shredder's Revenge? And it's at a perfect time, right? It's been so many years since then. Like, it's a great time for a refresh. So the combat's great. The art is perfect. I use that word sparingly, but the art is perfect. You cannot get better than this. To the little details of like the foot ninja sleeping on the bench, the bird sleeping on the rock, the monkey sleeping in the little cage. There's just so much detail and love put into this game. It's peak pixel art. It is incredible. You could tell they just did so many art passes in this game over and over and over. Like, there's room here. Let's put something there. Let's put something there. Let's put something there. There's always something catching your eye. And while those are already great, right? Gameplay and, of course, the art. The music. The music. Oh, my God. So there's a lot of, again, Turtles in Time energy here. But suddenly, I will say this, Mission 3 pops off. And I'm like, yo, am I hearing the Wu-Tang Clan? What? Are you kidding me? There's rap in this game, man. We haven't heard new Turtle raps in ages. And it's here. And it's amazing. It's like, I was like vibing out while I was playing. I was like, oh, man. I'm like beating these guys up at the same time. I'm just like bobbing and weaving while I play. I couldn't believe it. I couldn't believe it. It's a game that I just highly recommend. If you're a Turtles fan like me, you've probably already played it, but you go in as blind as you can because the amount of surprises to the boss fights, like seeing the Rat King, I was like, whoa, that's a face I haven't seen in so long. Oh my God, it's just constantly delivering things. And again, the personality picks up, like when you're after finishing a mission in the story mode, you'll see this turtle map. And you just see like New York City designed in such a cool way where I was by myself in my house. I was like, oh, what's this? I was like, oh, okay. I love what I'm seeing here. This game, man, it's just, I'm so happy it exists, right? It's a true game of the year contender for me. Yeah, you can tell me all day, Ninja Turtle bias. Yeah, sorry, I've been starving and someone just fed me. I love this game. Not only that, I played this by myself, but this supports up to 6-player online co-op play. So it's not just the 4 turtles. You could play as Master Splinter like I did in arcade mode. You can play as April O'Neil. You can play as Casey Jones. And I know this game is a template. They are going to add characters in. I hope they add so many. I hope you could play as Shredder at one point. I mean, there are so many characters I can think of off the top of my head that would be, imagine you could play as like the Fugitoid, why not, or a Triceratop. Maybe they'll add Usagi in at some point. I mean, there's just so many characters that they can add in, and because they make them so personality driven, they have their own stats. It's just like everyone feels a little bit different. That's one thing I haven't talked about yet. Oh my god. Okay, so the story mode, as you're going through it and you're beating enemies up, you're getting points, and as you're completing challenges, you're getting points. And you don't spend these points on like a progression tree or anything, but you unlock like extra health points. You'll unlock extra moves, like the ability to do your super attack in air. For those who don't know, super attacks, I feel like I forgot so much because I was just freaking out. I'm sorry. But super attacks are these things where as you're fighting around the stage, you're building up this bar that's right beneath your health bar, and you can stack it up twice. And it's this move that you do where you just spin around, and think of like the pizza power move, but you can just summon this when you want and wipe everyone out. Oh, man, it's great. Great quality of life enhancements. Yeah, since Turtles in Time, there's a great quality of life enhancement. Would you believe that? Health bars. This is something that I kind of didn't like about Turtles in Time. The unknown of like, are you dead? Are you dead yet? And they're just blinking these colors rapidly, and you're like, I don't know if I got them yet. So they added health bars to these bosses, and it's made it a lot more strategic, I think, because there are challenges in these levels like don't get hit. And it's been tough for me. As someone who I consider myself a TMNT expert, I've had some trouble with these. But I will say, knowing when the boss is about to die kind of puts you in the position of like, is it a do or die moment here? Do I just dive this boss and like hit him twice, then do my super attack? One thing I also wanted to shout out, speaking of bosses, were some of the mechanics. Like, I loved how in Rat King, he wasn't like a tough fighting type of boss like maybe Rocksteady would be, you know, running all over the place. Rat King was a tough boss because he was sending rats at you, and it was like a platforming based boss. I was like, oh, okay. Normally all of these are like survive the attack phase and then get up close and pop, 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 and just fight them that way, in the Turtles in Time kind of way. So I think what's happened here for many of us TMNT fans, myself included, is we're sort of so used to a very specific style of beat 'em up for multiple decades that it's like now having something different and just learning new little tricks and tips. Yeah, it works in the game's favor for sure because you're not expecting these little things, but when they pop up and you're able to do certain things, it just feels amazing. It's so rewarding as a TMNT fan. So yeah, there's multiple endings too. What? There's so many achievements you can unlock. It's in Game Pass day one. Like, you have no excuse, man. Like, if you're not playing this game, what are you doing? It's great. It's great beat 'em up fun. I know beat 'em ups aren't for everyone. And I will say, on a separate note, I hope people start to realize that TMNT is bigger than beat 'em ups. I look at a game like TMNT Out of the Shadows, okay? This was a game that clearly was inspired by the Arkham games. And it got some really bad reviews, by the way. I didn't think it was that bad. I know. Again, clearly TMNT fanboy, if you couldn't tell. But a lot of people like gave it 2 out of 10s, 4 out of 10s, like really bad scores. I still have my 360 with that hard drive intentionally so I can play that game, so I could play the Ubisoft TMNT Turtles in Time remake, and so I could play the X-Men arcade game. And so for me, man, like going back to that game, I was thinking, you know, we could do something like this. Like, y'all know, like the Turtles are popular, right? Like if you do a big AAA game with Arkham style combat, this will work. In an open world, this will work. I have like a one-pager concept for TMNT as a video game for an RPG. Like, I think it's possible for everything if you think out of the box and you're a big enough fan. So to me, man, it's like one of those things where I really, really hope that we learn that beat 'em ups can be great for TMNT, but we can go further than this. So it's just great to see my boys in green get a win here, a serious win too, like overwhelmingly positive reviews, a lot of good buzz about it. I love this is the first time in a while, by the way, and like I loved Elden Ring, for example, but this is the first time in a while where the announcement of the date of a game has weighed on me day after day, right? They announced it at the Summer Games Fest. They're like, we're going to see you on the 16th. And I've just been counting down, thinking about it constantly. That I'm not playing it, I'm thinking about it. It's an amazing game, and it's a video game, right? Like, we get these games, I talk about a lot of them here on the channel, that are story driven. And I love story games. I'm pretty much a story first guy in a lot of respects, but every now and then these types of games will show up, and they are so nice to see, because it's just about having fun, right? And there's that nostalgia of the couch co-op that you can now experience, again here, couch co-op or online co-op, bringing those memories to life. And just remember the good old days. And if you don't, you get to introduce someone to a brand new genre of just like, yeah, it's turtles. They're just fighting the heck out of everything around them. There's environmental interactions. It's great music. It's just a vibe, man. It's just a vibe. Oh, God almighty. I just need to go play more of this game, man. I can't be on camera any longer. I need to go play this game. So, have you played Turtles in Time? I just called it that again, huh? Wow. That's the biggest compliment I can give it. I've done it twice this video. We're not editing it out. I don't care. I don't care. It's that good. It's Turtles in Time, man. It's that good. So, whew, my hair's getting long. Anyway, let me know what you're thinking about this game down below. I love it. Clearly, I'm a psychopath over it. So, yeah, I'm curious to know what more level-headed people think about this game. So let me know. I'm looking forward to seeing your thoughts. Please do fire away. And with that, I'll catch all of you in the next Retro Rebound, maybe a little more calmer. Peace out.